Connect. Capitalize. Go.
It's the podcast business with your host, Eugene Rowe. Make your way over to the website at hombabiz.com, HOMBABIZ.com. Sign up for our free e-newsletter where you discover your number one asset and how to use it to live the life that you want. Right now, I've got Mr. Shamus Greene. Thanks for taking your time out on the podcast for business.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about what you do and about your background.
Well, I am the team owner for the Shamus Greene Realty Group at Keller Williams Louisville East. I've been selling real estate for about 12 years. I've owned a team for, I think, right around three and a half. I originally got into the housing industry by way of the mortgage business. I think that you find a lot of people that start off in the mortgage business and then go to real estate, or start off selling real estate and end up in the mortgage business. I cut my teeth learning during the pre-housing crisis, and then opened a mortgage brokerage firm right in the middle of the housing crisis. And, back in that time period, if you didn't know you were in the housing crisis. You knew it was slowing down, but, our business is so full of ebbs and flows that, a minor slowdown can seem normal, and then it got worse and worse and worse and worse. And so I did get licensed, and I did both real estate and mortgages at the same time for a period of a couple of years. And then finally, when the housing crisis got so bad, I left the mortgage industry for good and said I'll never do that again. And I would strongly encourage anyone that does both to pick one. It's difficult to be great at something if you let yourself spread so thin. So
that's a good point, because a lot of people try to do so much, be great at three things, when sometimes you just have to focus.
Yes. There's something to be said for working smarter and not harder, and honing your skills. And it's kind of funny, even though I've hit a level of success, and I've been very blessed, and I've got fantastic teammates that I work with and great support staff on my team, I am still constantly struggling with the concept of leveraging myself to leverage things and activities that I do now that would be better suited for someone that maybe is better at those activities, which would free me up to do the things that I'm very good at. And so it's kind of funny. The other day, I felt myself spreading myself thin, doing some things that distracted me on my whole day. And I was thinking about it on my way to dinner with my kids. And a car in front of me, it's actually a truck, had a trailer gate, and it fell down and it broke in the middle of the freeway, and sparks were flying everywhere. This guy's dragging along. We pull over, and I'm not a manual labor guy. I'm not a blue collar guy. I'm not good at it. It's not something I'm good at, and I have nothing but mad respect for people that are skilled with their hands and building things. And so the gentleman gets out, and I jump out, and I'm in my suit, and I said, well, hey, you want to see if I can lift this up there with you? And he said, man, you're not going to lift that. That thing's heavy. So I said, okay. Well, what if we try to figure out a way to get someone else to come over here and lift it? And he said, buddy, just hang on. And then he went and he got the biggest crowbar I've ever seen in my entire life. I didn't even know they made crowbars this big. And he comes over and he starts literally leveraging and using all these different tools. He was using boards and sliding it under, and he was using chains and cranking it with a wrench. And he was doing all these things that, because he was so good at his job, he knew how to leverage and not break his back. And I thought, my goodness, this is the universe reminding me one more time, please stop what you're doing and start thinking of doing things smarter. So it has nothing to do with our interview necessarily, but it was something. It was a very potent, powerful moment that I had the other day, just being constantly reminded that you just have to think outside the box to sometimes come to the very best way to handle something.
I think what you just said is a great tangent to go on in our interview. We're talking to Shamus Greene right now. We're on the podcast for business. He's a realtor. What part of the world are you in, Shamus?
Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville, Kentucky. Okay. So this guy reminded you that if you can use tools, leverage systems, you can do something as one person that you and he probably couldn't have done together if you were only using your manual yourself.
Absolutely. And tools were what he was using to leverage, but in our world, it might not be a tool. It might be the right hire. And, I've found that as I built a team, the most critical hire that I have ever made is my admin, my assistant who, the word assistant doesn't even sound accurate or fair for how critical she is to my operation and how much she does to help us, do some amazing things. And I think back to a time before I had her with me, and I was doing all of the, inputting and the prepping of listings and things of that nature. That's not my strength. My strength is building relationships. My strength is coaching agents on how to handle situations. The things that I'm passionate about that I enjoy are the things that I seem to do well with, and I think that's most people. And so, in my world, sometimes I still find myself trying to handle things that just don't make sense for me to handle. And I went to a seminar one time, or a class, called 90 Listings in 90 Days. And it was all about staying focused to pick up new listings. And he made a great point that, for people that work as independent agents that aren't part of a team or would be the equivalent of when you were to go to the doctor. And if the doctor were to come out and sign you in when you register, and then he hurries up and he changes into the nursing gear, and then he takes your blood pressure, and then he goes back, and then he changes into the doctor gear, and then he takes you in and gives analysis, and then he goes back, puts the nursing gear back on, then he goes and does the front desk thing, and it doesn't make any sense. So,
that's an interesting visual.
Yeah, but that's what so many agents try to do. And again, the interesting thing about the real estate business, and I think if you're going to be a great agent, there are many different hats. There's such different hats between being a buyer's agent or being a listing agent. And I'm very, very certain that one person can do both. I have no issue with that. I know some real estate teams kind of make it to where you have to do one or the other. I'm open to people being able to do both, but you have to have the skill of being able to put on different hats and do different roles. But if you were to trace back the number of tasks associated with a real estate transaction, there are over 100 different tasks. And so having someone to take some of that stuff off your plate so you can go out and build relationships is really has been the key to my success.
So we're talking to Shamus Greene right now on the podcast business. He's a realtor out in Louisville, Kentucky. Visit the website, homebookbiz.com. Sign up for our free newsletter and discover your number one asset and how to use it to live the life that you want. Shamus, you mentioned that one of your most important hires was your admin. Was that scary, knowing that you'd be responsible for someone else's livelihood, and did that motivate you to even work harder?
It is absolutely the most terrifying thing I've ever done, because this is the person who I've become very, very good friends with. I mean, she's one of my closest friends, and she has kids and a husband and a home, and with our business being as it is, with ebbs and flows and highs and lows and good and bad, the idea that I'm going to commit to this person to help feed their family into perpetuity, because you don't hire with the mindset of well, when things slow down, I'll just let them go. And
right.
I don't anyway. I know some people do, and I know that that's an economy to scale, and that's great when it's seasonal. But when you're looking at core hires to take your business to another level, it feels like a permanent commitment, and it is very, very scary to know that as things slow down, her pay isn't going to slow down. And so, the first thing that we tried to do, and our strategies have been all along, really kind of becoming shift-proof, because the market will, without a doubt, no question, it will shift, and it will shift hard, and it will get ugly for a little while at some point in time. I don't know that it'll ever get back to where we were in the housing recession, or at least I hope that it doesn't, but at some point in time it's going to shift, and you're already seeing it in other parts of the country. So in our market, the pendulum has swung the opposite direction, and houses are selling in hours and for thousands and thousands over list price, and bidding wars like crazy. We're experiencing what some other major metropolitan areas experienced 6 months to a year ago already. But the thing is, every business move we've made has been with the idea of saying, okay, we want to make ourselves an authority. We want to make ourselves front and center. We want to treat our clients like people, not dollars, not like commissions. Right. We want to really treat, and even though we get internet leads and we have, lead sources that refer us business, but our philosophy has always been to treat each client like it was a personal referral from your best friend. And if you think about the way you would treat a referral from your best friend, you live in almost constant fear of dropping the ball because you want to make sure everything's perfect. And so we truly, with every client that we touch, we try to make it that mindset. And that is why, even though we still have leads and lead sources, we continue to get a higher percentage of referral and repeat business than I think probably our contemporaries, our colleagues, probably experience. But,
that's pretty cool. So we've been talking to Shamus Greene right here on the podcast Business. He's a realtor in Louisville, Kentucky. Shamus, would you like to give the listeners a way to find out more information about you?
Yeah, absolutely. You can visit us at www.shamusgreene.com. That's ShamusGreene.com. And you can also call me directly at 502-526-3433. And while we're in the Louisville market, we do service all surrounding counties, and we have a network of agents that we work with across the country and across the entire state of Kentucky. So, we're happy to help anybody that we can.
Sounds great. Shamus Greene, thanks for taking your time out on the podcast for business.
Connect, capitalize, go.